Hey guys, hope you guys are having a good Monday. We're getting started a little late this morning. Went by and had some medical tests done. We got Carly in here over here she's updating and getting everything into MHG Life she can. We'll get a video done later this week. Her and I are going to be running the office. Her mainly running the office this week. We'll get a video done this week to get the MHG Life. We want to get you guys started on that and get those videos coming in so she can start linking them together. She works faster than I'm lazy, so she works faster than we're doing. Guys, I just want to prepare you for a couple of things. Talked to a couple of agents this morning. We had a couple of instances to where some things went a little haywire. We got some agents on the other side doing a little weird stuff. We've had two instances already this morning where we had the buyer and appraisals came back in. On one of them, on Jean Lynn, we had McCorkle. We had one come in. The house was listed just 12 months ago for $485. They listed it for way up there, about $100,000 over this year, and it came in right where it should. And immediately the listing agent's like, "Well, we're going to contest that. We're going to contest that appraisal." I'm sorry, you don't have that right. Nowhere in the contract does it say the seller has the right to contest the appraisal. So the situation is that the buyer paid for the appraisal. We can furnish the top page and they can terminate under the provisions of the contract because this one didn't waive the appraisal right. So you can negotiate a deal out or whatever, but the seller, unless the buyer says, "I really want the house, I believe they missed the value, I want to contest it," the seller can say, "Please do." You don't automatically, the seller just can't say they contest it. And they're going to lose in this case. A house is not worth 20% more than it was last year. They hit it at 10% more than it was last year, but they wanted 20% more. So first of all, you're not supposed to list property for more than it's worth. That's an ethics violation, hardly ever enforced, but that's okay. But secondly, the seller does not have a right, okay, on an appraisal that the buyer has paid for. And if I'm the buyer, I'm not furnishing them an appraisal. Guys, and here's the thing. They went and took the listing. The guy who took the listing took it at too high, probably knew it was too high, and now they're complaining, this, that, and the other. Real estate's worth what real estate's worth, and appraisals do lag behind, okay? But you're not going to gain 20% in 1 year on a $500,000 house. It doesn't happen, okay? So when you do that kind of stuff and it comes back, you can have all the indignant anger you want, but you need to go ahead and work with the people and try to work it out. So Jeannie and I talked and we said, here's your buyer can do this or that and do that. But if your buyer wants out, since they do have the addendum attached, they're welcome to get out, and the seller has to release the earnest money. And so it may be something there, but just saying, well, we're going to contest it. Who are you going to contest it with? Because it's the buyer's lender and the buyer paid for the appraisal. You have nothing to contest. You have nothing. So those are things that need to be taken into account. Also, Linda Costner had one this morning. It's kind of interesting. The thing has been, they put it in MLS that would not go FHA. They made sure when contracts were made, offers were made, that it was conventional. So she had one that's been conventional. We're getting about 2 weeks away from closing. All of a sudden, without warning, she gets a new third-party financing addendum that's going FHA. Well, the property won't go FHA. They didn't advertise it FHA. And so the other agent's trying to put pressure on her, and she's just like, wait a minute. So when you get one where they want to change financing, your seller has the right to look at it and decide if they want to go. Here's the situation. If it's supposed to go conventional, okay, suck this down a little bit there. If it's supposed to go conventional and 2 weeks before closing, you change it to FHA. First of all, we got a problem. Are you even going to close on time? And second of all, this is a trailer house and on some rural acreage. You change the parameters of what the seller might have to do. So then you send over another third-party financing addendum with additional financing days and this, that, and the other. Guys, that's a game. This thing was never intended to go FHA. This agent, the buyer's agent on the other end, should know better. So the situation, didn't even call and say, hey, my folks may have to change to FHA, had no communication. It just showed up in an email. Now, guys, that's unprofessional at best. You can call it unethical if you want to, but it is very unprofessional that your communication was, hey, my folks are going to need to go FHA. That way they have less out of pocket and this, that, and the other. I'm completely comfortable with that if all the parties agree, but to try to sneak it in and get it signed, no. not going to work, because then you have an FHA appraiser go out. We know it's going to have to be retrofitted, but what else is the FHA appraiser going to want? One of the reasons that they did this, they did conventional because it was a trailer house. They knew they were going to have to retrofit it, but they really didn't want to do anything else. So now they're wanting more finance days to go with another one. Will it even close on time? The odds are it will not close on time because they started a whole new loan process and it can't get done in 2 weeks. So here you are putting undue stress on the seller, all right, that they didn't ask for in the meantime. My advice to Linda was talk to her seller, ask what her seller wanted to do, explain all the options, and if the seller didn't want those options, tell the other agent that we will not sign this, that it'll either go conventional or you can back out of the deal and get your earnest money. Good day. We'll sell it to somebody else. It was advertised properly. They're trying to make it something it's not. Seller's not obligated to fix or do any repairs, do this. This is a train wreck waiting to happen. And this is when you rely on your experience and you look up and go, wait a minute, they're changing loan products. 3 weeks is the best they're going to be able to do. So we're going to miss our closing date. Now we've got to go through an appraisal that we didn't want this kind of appraisal to start with. And this agent's trying to force us into it. And it's a property that's going to probably sell pretty quick anyway. So as long as you know that, just keep an eye out. We're having lots of little sneaky stuff after people get the deal done. You're having people list property too high and then get mad because it didn't hit the number. I'm sorry if it didn't hit the number, okay? We're in a market that's going up and going up, but a house didn't go up 20% in 1 year out here in Tyler, Texas. It didn't happen. We do have some going up 10, 12%, and they hit this one at 10% high, at 10% over last year, and I'm excited about that. Okay, that was a very good appraisal, but the seller doesn't have a right to demand. They have no skin in the game. It was paid for by the buyer, the buyer's lender, and et cetera, and so on. We don't know the appraisers. They come out of pools. They do this, they do that. But the seller, we're going to demand you have no demand. There's no stipulation in the contract that says the seller doesn't like the appraiser. He can make demands on something the buyer paid. Sorry, doesn't work, okay? He can just basically say, well, you're either going to pay the price or I'm going to put it back on the market. He's allowed to do that. So I want to make sure that I think they'll get something worked out. You got 2 agents that are really going to work on this. The deal on Linda's, I think we've got an agent on the other end just trying to pull a fast one. She's known all along they couldn't go conventional. And the more I look at it and the more I hear the conversations and the things that have happened and look at the email threads, I'm beginning to see that this agent knew all along that they were going to try to do some things. And she's trying to hurry Linda along to do this or do that. And then, oh, by the way, here comes another piece of paper sneaking in. Linda was very smart, looked at it and went, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with what we agreed to. We never advertised as this. We never represented as this. So keep in mind, stay on your toes. Yes, we're supposed to be ethical. Yes, we're supposed to have a win-win in mind. Unfortunately, we do have some out there among us that aren't looking for a win-win. And so don't put yourself in a position. Once again, also watch if you've got a listing and you have somebody come in with FHA financing and they're offering 30, 40, 20 grand over the listing price, and you know that it will not appraise if you've done your job. FHA is not going to approve it. Most FHA stuff, they will not let them go over and pay the difference. It has to appraise for the amount of the loan on most of them. There are exceptions. So this tells you something right there. They made an offer to get your seller's attention, intending never to spend that money. So watch what goes on your offers. Know what's a real offer. If you have any doubts, give me a call. Denise and Stephanie are going to be in and out this week, but Carly and I will handle it for you. I want you guys to have a blessed week.